What is going on, Panthers Nation? The all season is it's on the way in a big way, man. Stuff is heating up. I got a big episode of all kind of news and updates reflecting on day one of free agency for the Carolina Panthers. We got a lot of stuff to go over, man. Talking about cuts, additions, the latest update on Deshaun Watson saga. Obviously, all kind of stuff that's coming down the pipeline. So it's going to be a juicy episode. So make sure you guys watch the whole thing. But make sure you guys also hit the subscribe button if you're the first time being here. I am Unnecessary Bluntness and Aaron Duncan. I do recap and analysis of the Panthers and give videos about the NFL in general. Live streams, podcasts, film breakdowns, of course. So make sure you are subscribed down below and hit the bell icon so you get notification every time I drop something, because stuff is going to be changing fast, especially with the Deshaun Watson news. So if you want to stay up to date, make sure you're subscribed and give the video a thumbs up because it really helps me out in the algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and get into it, because first things first, I got to give the update on Deshaun Watson. So, of course, reports came out that the Panthers and the Saints have officially put in offers. And this is probably my worst nightmare, because if the Saints and the Panthers ended up being the final two, that means the range of emotions are so far apart. Like, we can be so high to the point that we have our next elite quarterback for the next 10 years, to the point that we have to face this guy and be tormented by him and that obnoxious New Orleans Saints fan base for the next 10 years. So it can either be really good or really bad. However, reports are saying that Scott Fitter and Matt Rule weren't in the office at Panthers headquarters today, and they actually flew out to meet with Deshaun Watson that evening. Now, Deshaun Watson, he still has the civil matters, even though that no criminal charges were brought against his civil disposition is due to be held on Tuesday. So he's going to be busy then. So it made more sense for teams to go to him to meet with him. That way they're not being held up, because free agency and legal tampering, official free agency doesn't start till Wednesday, but you can talk, have conversations, have verbal agreements starting Monday, that first day. So you're going to be behind the 8 ball if you don't really get a good jump on it. And Deshaun Watson is a big player in this offseason for the Panthers, so they need to figure out what's going to turn out there so they know how to proceed forward. But for all intents and purposes, the report saying that the Panthers are optimistic. They're thinking that their offer is the best just because they offer the young talent on rookie contracts on defense. They got the draft pick, and it seems like David Tepper, asking price, nothing's out of the ballpark. You know what I'm saying? Now, there has been some rumblings and stumblings that the Texans want to get rid of star left tackle Laramie Tunsil. So if the Panthers could swing Deshaun Watson and Laramie Tunsil in the same deal, I might build my own statue of Scott Fitter, you know what I'm saying, and put it outside my house. And they need to put one outside of Bank of America Stadium. If you can get a top 5 quarterback and a top 5 left tackle in the same deal, it makes losing those certain young talented guys that we're worried about, it softens that blow a lot more, because these are two positions that we've been dying for the last few years, especially left tackle. This goes back double-digit back years. So we've been needing a guy like Laramie Tunsil for years. But that's just a hunch and something. There's no truth to the Laramie Tunsil part. But the Deshaun Watson part, they're well in the thick of it. They have a great chance. I don't think that, that hasn't really been confirmed that he would waive his no-trade clause, but the fact he actually would take a meeting with the Panthers lets you know that it's in the realm of possibility, because he turned down the Browns. He turned down the Eagles. He turned down the Colts, of course. I don't know why the Colts even reached out from their division rival, but he turned down all these other guys, but he's giving the Saints and the Panthers a look. And it's smart for the Texans to want to pin two division rivals together, because they know it's for the same reason I said before. Either you're going to have this guy for 10 years or you're going to be tormented by this guy for 10 years. So it would behoove them to outbid each other. It's so smart by Caserio. He's a former Patriot exec. He's smart. You know the guys play chess when the rest of the league's playing checkers. Nevertheless, I don't think there's an asking price for the Panthers that's too out of question or too ridiculous. From what I'm hearing, anybody is up for sale and anybody can get it. We'll see if Scott Fitter can work some magic. Matt Rule, y'all call him a great used car salesman. Let's see if he can sell Deshaun Watson on the dream, because he's good at recruiting and motivating these guys. He does his speaker and tour thing in colleges, talking to colleges and players and all these coaching clinics. So let's see if he can work that magic, being that salesman, selling him on a long-term plan. But obviously, I'm expecting something maybe Tuesday, possibly Wednesday, probably Tuesday. He has a lot of legal matters going on for his civil suit. So I expect Wednesday to be the day that he probably announces. And it would behoove him to honestly not drag it out anymore either, because whatever team he goes to, they're going to have a better chance of getting more free agents to help. It also would behoove him to try to maybe leverage against the Texans and say, hey, don't give up too many draft picks for me, otherwise I'm not going to do it, because he may want to go to a team that can actually help build around him. He knows that it's going to be such a massive deal that if the team that he goes to gets crippled, it's going to hinder the process of developing that team as a winner. So it may behoove Deshaun Watson to play a little hardball for himself. Nevertheless, we'll keep you posted on those things and updates. Make sure you stay tuned. I may try to go live depending on what time the announcement happens. I may try to go live whenever the result is, and just we can either cry in our sorrows or we can celebrate that we got a franchise quarterback. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Moving on. The next part I want to talk about is how the Panthers started free agency. And a lot of fans on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, by the way, at Dunk On Demand, where I give my instant reactions to these moves that are being made in free agency since stuff is happening so fast. We heard that the Panthers weren't adding people. They were actually cutting people. Now, they already been doing certain things to clear out cap space by restructuring some deals, but today they cut A.J. Bouye and Morgan Fox. Now, a lot of people were pissed off about this. They was like, we're going to be losing Jeremy Chin, J.C. Horn, Derek Brown, or Brian Burns in a trade deal, and then they're going to keep cutting defensive players. Now our defense is going to be just as bad as our offense was before. Guys, I told you guys before, if you've been watching my channel long enough, that A.J. Bouye was a trade candidate anyway. They were going to try to trade him back at the deadline before. So why are people surprised that he got cut as a cap casualty? They knew what the writing was on the wall, and it's just business, man. They want to clear some cap space, but the cornerback room is pretty solid right now. Obviously, Stephon is out there. I haven't really heard too much about Dante in the market, but I mean, I think they're going to try to make some moves too. Obviously, C.J. Henderson, J.C. Horn, Keith Taylor. We have some corners in there right now. Obviously, depth is everything, so we'll try to get some more moves and more moves to be made. I'm going to be patient. It's only day one of the tampering period of free agency, but A.J. Bouye, I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep off of A.J. Bouye getting cut. Now, Morgan Fox, when the starting interior D lineman, a lot of people were mad about this because they thought Morgan Fox was pretty solid, and he was. Earlier in the season, he had a sack and a half. Obviously, he made some things in the pass rush. He seemed like a very good interior pass rusher, but we started to pivot our defense a little more. The team started running on us a lot more, so we stopped doing a lot more three-man fronts and started going to four-man fronts. Now, the thing about Morgan Fox, he's too small to play full-time interior, but he's too slow and not as athletic enough to play on the edge. He can do something in certain spots, but it's been clear cut that Scott Fitter and Phil Snow said they want to get bigger up front. Hence why you see that they didn't make a huge push for some guys on the edge. I'll talk about it a little bit later, Hassan Reddick, and of course Morgan Fox being let go. They want to get bigger inside. I understand, because you can have good corners all you want, but if you're getting pushed around up front, we saw what happens this year. If you get pushed up front, you can lose to anybody, even the Commanders. Like we did. Well, they were the football team, but even the football team who decided to run the ball all over us. Nevertheless, I'm not losing sleep over these two guys getting cut. Obviously, it's for cap space. Obviously, with the Deshaun getting traded, they're going to want to try to create more cap space. I think the cap total was up to like $31 million after they made those two cuts. But I wasn't really pissed off about that, but many fans on Twitter were. Only for just a few hours later, the Panthers to get real active. And that's going to take me on to the next segment. And actually, let me pull back. Let me talk about some guys that were former Panthers that are signed elsewhere. Daquan Jones, keeping the Buffalo Bills pipeline alive, signed with the Buffalo Bills. Another interior lineman, just like Starla Tulele, that we lost to the Bills because of free agency. I like Daquan, honestly. I actually looked at him and saw the dirty work. He may not make all the splash plays that you see, but he's a guy that can take up a lot of blockers. He's big, like the guys they were talking about they wanted to do up front, but I mean, he wasn't expensive. He's going to do good things in Buffalo, I'm sure. I would like to keep him, but, I mean, it is what it is. Also, like I said, Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick is going back home to the Philadelphia, Jersey area. He signed with the Philadelphia Eagles 3 years, $45 million, $30 million guaranteed. A guy that's been back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. I'm happy for Hassan. He bet on himself by coming to the Panthers, going into a system that he was comfortable with, did big things, shows that his last year with Arizona wasn't a fluke, got double-digit sacks again. Now he's getting a bag back in his hometown. I knew it was going to be tough to keep him anyway just because of the price tag, and it showed to be that was the truth. I mean, honestly, the price they got him at, for a guy that's double-digit sacks, is not that unreasonable, to be honest. It's just the Panthers just ain't got it like that, and they have other priorities, obviously. And with obviously, they're going to be signing the fifth-year option for Brian Burns very soon. So they're going to want to try to keep Brian Burns around on an extension. So do you pay Brian Burns? Do you pay Hassan Reddick? Who do you like? I think they like Burns because they feel like his ceiling may be higher, just because they feel like there's still more untapped potential, and I agree. So it really much came down to choosing between one of the two of those guys, it seems like, in the long term, and they decided to go with Brian Burns and allow Hassan Reddick to hit the market. And the Panthers don't have them back, like I told you guys, to be able to compete on the open market. So good luck to Hassan there, man. Nothing but respect for that guy, man. All right. So let's get on to the additions that the Carolina Panthers made, though, because a lot of y'all were sleeping, getting pissed off, seeing all this money being spent. Y'all saw the Jacksonville Jaguars throwing away all this bread. Y'all saw it. You saw these other teams signing players, and you were just like, when are the Panthers going to get involved? First of all, I don't know why y'all acting brand new. You guys know the Panthers are never active on day one of free agency like that. They're not. And last year when they actually did, y'all criticized them for, rightly so, but for signing Pat Elflein and Cam Irving. So just because we're not in the mix and you see your friends are getting to go and play outside, you in the inside looking out, that doesn't mean that is the best thing to do. And you got to be patient sometimes. And that's exactly what happened. The first signing the Panthers had was signing safety Xavier Woods, formerly known as a Cowboy at one point, also a Viking last year. Xavier Woods, good quality starter and free safety that started opposite of Harrison Smith, had 104 tackles last year combined, 2 forced fumbles, a sack, and 3 interceptions. This guy's actually pretty solid, man. I think we paid three-year contract, 15 point something million dollars. So about $5 million per year. Not bad for a starting safety. With Justin Burris being let go, they needed to find a guy that could play opposite of Jeremy Chin. They feel a lot more comfortable with Jeremy Chin being up close to the box and not being the deep safety. So they wanted to get a guy that could play that deep safety that has some ball skills like a Xavier Woods. Now, I'm not saying Xavier Woods is going to be just all world, but he's a starting caliber safety. He played with the Vikings in a good system and made some plays. And I'm going to do a film breakdown on these guys a little bit later. So you guys let me know down below in the comments if you'd be interested in me doing film on our potential signings and how they may fit into our scheme. So just let me know in the comments. But Xavier Woods, I like this move. He's relatively cheap. He's going to be a starting safety. Like I said, he's got experience. He's only 26 years old, 3-year contract. I mean, it's not too much to hate about this. It's not too much to hate. I mean, a lot of people were just thinking, oh, we're not going to be able to do anything until the Deshaun Watson deal. No, Scott Fitter is getting busy still. I keep telling y'all, people are finally catching on now, and you see people on Twitter and other people quoting it. The salary cap is a myth. I've been saying it. It's a myth. The salary cap is a myth, just like Bigfoot. People can do whatever they want. Y'all can ignore these websites like Spot Track and Over the Cap. They're good reference points after the fact. But when you're trying to make real-time deals and seeing stuff, there's so much stuff that we don't know about the salary cap because we're not professionals that they can do to maneuver around, that the salary cap is really a myth. And I think people finally started to wake up to it when they see that, okay, Over the Cap says the Panthers only have $29 million in cap space. They can't fit Deshaun Watson and sign on these other people. But then you see that the New Orleans Saints are $30, $40 million over the cap, but they're still in the final running for Deshaun Watson. They made an offer. So if they can do it, we damn sure can do it. The salary cap is a myth. I'm gonna put it on a t-shirt and sell it for sure, because everybody's finally catching on. Everybody's saying the salary cap is a myth. So anything is possible. There's still work to be done. Samir Suleiman is a salary cap expert. Scott Fitter is a good guy making deals, and Colin, Willen, and Dylan. I like the combination. And Xavier Woods, I think, can be a solid player for this defense. I like the pick. The next piece that we signed, and to everybody's delight, was Austin Corbett, a starting guard. Right guard, but he could play some left guard, starting guard. He's a formerly Super Bowl champion LA Ram. Yes, he won a Super Bowl ring with the Rams, went to free agency, ended up getting a bag. We signed him for 3 years, $29.75 million, which is $9.7 million a year. According to Spot Track, his market value was $8.75 million per year. So the Panthers paid about $1 million more per year, which makes sense. I mean, this is a guy that just left a Super Bowl team. He's coming to a team that's on the rise. A lot of guys, people are like, why would he want to go from a good team like the Rams to come to the Panthers? First of all, the Rams had to want him. The Rams signed a tackle and a center, so there wasn't enough money to go around for the guard. Obviously, the guard Corbett was drafted by the Browns, traded to the Rams, started the past 2 seasons, did not miss a game. Durability, dependability. He only had 3 sacks and 1,000 pass blocking snaps, and only 3 penalties also in that same time span. He's not like John Milner that gives up a sack or just say sacks happen. He will be a good quality starting right guard to put beside Taylor Moton and maybe Pat Elflein if he ends up being a starting center, which we expect. So Corbert's going to fit in here seamlessly. He's great against the run, in the running game, great in that zone blocking scheme, kind of like what Sean McVay does. The head scratcher for me is how does he fit into the scheme? We've seen and heard that they want to get to a more downhill running attack, but Corbett is 306 pounds, 6'4", 306 pounds, not really a bruiser. I expected Deontay Brown, the heavy big boy, to be the guy that wanted to be the face of that identity, to be ground and pound. But Corbert's a good guy in the zone. He's great in the zone. He can be better in pass blocking, but a lot of people have some concerns saying that he's just a system guy, saying that McVay's play action and trickery and hickory and all this exotic stuff that they do on offense really helps the offensive line out, because the defensive line is always off balance, and so it makes pass blocking a little bit easier. I know he kind of have a dip in his pass blocking production according to PFF last year when they had Matt Stafford, because Matthew Stafford is more of a pocket quarterback versus Jared Goff. They were doing a lot more play action, a little bit of the trickery stuff, the end arounds, all that kind of good stuff that they were doing before. So that's the only downside of maybe Corbett, but I still think that he's a good player. According to Athletic, he was the number 3 guard on the market. You know, he wasn't tier 1 or tier 2, but he was tier 3, the number 3 guard. That's big for the Panthers. We rarely get top-notch offensive linemen that are healthy in free agency. And I don't mind paying that little bit of a premium, like I said, $1 million over market value for a guy that's this quality of a starter and that we had to kind of pull away. That's kind of what you got to do. Like I told you guys, we're just not in a super attractive destination when you're building something. So you either got to have some kind of background connection to these guys, or actually we did have background connection because the new offensive line coach Campion, he used to coach Corbett in Cleveland. So you have that connection there. But also, when you don't have the clout and notoriety to pull in big non-free agents, sometimes you got to pay a little top dollar to persuade them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they did there. I like Corbett also. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with these first 2 signings on day 1. I mean, we got the guard. I think right now we could even be decent. If you wanted to put Brady Christensen at left tackle, go ahead, and apparently they like Michael Jordan. I'm not sure why. Apparently they like Michael Jordan. They feel like if he hadn't come during the middle of the year, he may have a better year. So they're going to give him a full offseason and a chance. I'm not a big fan of it, but I wouldn't mind getting another interior lineman, but I guess they're pretty much good with him. Pat Elflein at the center, Corbett at right guard, and Taylor Moton at right tackle. A pretty solid group thus far. I still expect them to look for a tackle, whether in the draft later or if they can get somebody in free agency. We'll see what happens and end up kicking Brady Christensen inside. But nevertheless, we're getting protection for if Deshaun Watson does come. And if he doesn't come, we're still going to probably have to get a draft a young quarterback in the draft like Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett anyway. So having protection behooves you anyway. These are moves that need to be made regardless of Deshaun Watson. So I'm glad they're doing business as usual. It may seem like in the media that we're so desperate, we have all our eggs in one basket. But if you're a Panthers fan, you know that a starting safety and damn sure you know that a starting offensive lineman are 2 good pickups for the Panthers, especially on the first day because it's still early. There's going to be some good after the market kind of shakes out and free agency actually opens up and people start the dust kind of settles after all the excitement and the checkbooks kind of open up real wide. And then stuff starts falling through the cracks. You start picking up some good deals later on down the stretch. You know what I'm saying? This is kind of where you build your roster out and get good deals and get good value. It's about value. The same way they got value out of signing Hassan Riddick for cheap last year and getting double-digit sacks, you get value by kind of waiting for the guys that might have thought they would have got a bigger payday, but they didn't. Maybe we can get value on Dante if he sits on the market long enough. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, because the only corner that's been taken is J.C. Jackson. No relation. So maybe Dante doesn't necessarily get a suitor yet until they figure out what the market is for corners, because J.C. Jackson just got broke off big time. Big time. So we will see. But you guys let me know down below in the comments what movie you're more excited about. How are you feeling about the Deshaun Watson status? How do you feel about the guys that we actually picked up? How do you feel about the cuts that we made? Let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, I'm Aaron Duncan signing off. I'll see you next time. Peace.